Every recovery score, every training session, every race clock. Behind the brands changing how we move are founders who turned fitness into something measurable, repeatable, and global. This is Founder Effect, where we unpack the DNA of the world's most successful companies. This month, the story of Will Ahmed, who built Whoop, and Moritz Fürste, the Olympic champion who helped turn gym training into Hyrox.
I was 22 years old. I had never started a company. I had never had a full-time job. I was building a business at the intersection of hardware and software and data science and medicine, and I wasn't a hardware engineer or a computer scientist. So I think there was a lot of skepticism that I was going to be able to build this technology. Hundreds of investors said no. And so, every day I just try to pick myself up and put one foot in front of the other and keep building.
In 2012, while studying at Harvard, Will Ahmed started building what would become Whoop. Built around a screenless wearable, the business is now valued at $10.1 billion. And has been embraced by some of the world's top athletes, including LeBron James, Michael Phelps, and Cristiano Ronaldo.
There was a period in 2017, 2018 where Whoop had built, I think, a cool brand. It was used by the world's best athletes. The technology was very powerful, but we hadn't yet figured out how to make a real business out of it. I mean, we were a week away from declaring bankruptcy before we got a deal done.
But none of that success was guaranteed. Just 2 years after launching Whoop, the pressure nearly broke its founder.
I had raised tens of millions of dollars. We had a team of 30, 40 people. And I felt totally strung out. I was drinking too much coffee, I was drinking too much alcohol. It all kind of climaxed around a day where I had a panic attack and checking myself into the hospital.
There are 3 numbers to look out for in Whoop's story. 143, the number of investors who rejected Will in early years. 2.7 million, the number of Whoop members today. And $10.1 billion, the company's valuation after a major funding round in March 2026. This is Founder Effect.
My name is Will Ahmed, and I'm the founder and CEO of Whoop.
Will Ahmed grew up in Long Island, New York. As a kid, he was obsessed with 2 things: sports and technology.
Throughout my whole life, I loved sports and exercise. I mean, I probably played 10 different sports as a kid. Squash ended up being the one I was best at, so I got to play at Harvard.
While at Harvard, Will captained the men's varsity squash team, but there was a problem he couldn't shake.
I was someone who used to overtrain, where I would go through periods of getting fitter and fitter and fitter, and then, somewhat suddenly feeling completely run down and sort of falling off a cliff and not knowing why. It really felt like the ultimate betrayal, and it was something that was very personal to me. And the more research I did on it, it felt like this wasn't just a problem for athletes, this was a problem that really pertained to all of humanity. Why do we know so much information about the weather tomorrow, or our computer, or our car, but maybe the most important engine in the world, our body, we don't know anything about?
That question turned into an obsession.
I asked myself a pretty innocent question as a 20-year-old college kid, which was, how do you measure the human body? And what that led to was reading hundreds of medical papers and writing my own paper called The Feedback Tool, Measuring Intensity, Recovery, and Sleep.
In the fall of his senior year, he made the call.
I made the commitment to start the company, and I remember telling my parents that, I'm not going to go into finance or consulting or these other things that all my classmates were doing. I'm going to be starting this company. And that was, I think, one of the scariest decisions I made in my life, because I didn't know what I had just signed up for. There was so much unknown in front of me, and I really didn't have a playbook. It wasn't just that I had never started a company before. It was like this was going to be my first full-time job.
Will wasn't trying to build another step counter. He wanted a wearable that could track what was happening inside the body continuously, including sleep, strain, and recovery.
Whoop is a wearable device that continuously measures everything about your body and sends all of that data to your phone and to the cloud, where we give you all sorts of insights to make you healthier.
But when the company started in 2012, getting those kinds of insights from a wearable device still seemed far-fetched.
The wearables market was still very new. There was about 5 million wearables sold a year, which is really small as a market size. And most of the products in the market were either measuring what I would call non-invasive, not particularly interesting metrics about the human body. They couldn't measure what's going on physiologically inside this person's body.
Will was trying to combine the simplicity of a consumer wearable with the kind of physiological data usually associated with clinical or elite performance settings.
Hundreds of investors said no. And so, every day I just try to pick myself up and put one foot in front of the other and keep building.
But Whoop wasn't just up against skepticism from investors. He was entering a category where giants like Nike and soon Apple were moving in.
Nike was coming out with the Fuel Band at the time. Apple was coming out with the Apple Watch, two of the best and biggest companies in the world. There was certainly a pervasive narrative for at least a decade of building this company that we shouldn't build hardware, we should just build the software and the algorithms that sits on top of other wearable products. But I think what that point of view missed was that there was actually no wearable technology out there that could accurately measure the body.
But he ignored the advice and started building.
It took many years to build a product that I wasn't embarrassed by. And the hard thing about being an entrepreneur is balancing this feeling of, gosh, the thing has to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and it needs to look like this, and this is what we're striving to. It's perfection, it's perfection, it's perfection.
Once he had a product, Will made another counterintuitive bet. Instead of chasing mass consumers first, Whoop went after elite athletes.
We started with professional athletes because we felt professional athletes, first of all, needed to understand sleep and recovery and strain. They were getting paid millions of dollars ultimately based on how they recovered, but they couldn't measure recovery. So it seemed obvious that that would be a good market. But separately, and you could argue more importantly for Whoop as a business, professional athletes, if we could get them to really love Whoop, would help us create a brand around performance and make health monitoring aspirational and make health monitoring, dare I say, cool.
It worked. LeBron James and Michael Phelps became early high-profile users, and Whoop started spreading through locker rooms by word of mouth. But behind the scenes, building the business nearly broke Will himself.
I was 24 years old. I was about 2 years into building this company. I had raised tens of millions of dollars. We had a team of 30, 40 people, and I felt totally strung out in building this business. I really was very stressed. I didn't fully understand how to deal with those emotions. I was drinking too much coffee, I was drinking too much alcohol, like I was just still a kid, and it felt like I was thrown into the seat of being a CEO, and I didn't really know how to keep up with that. It all kind of climaxed around a day where I had a panic attack and checking myself into the hospital.
That moment forced a hard realization. Whoop could fail, not because the idea was wrong, but because the founder was not evolving fast enough to lead it.
I also realized in that moment that Whoop could ultimately fail in large part because of me. Like if I didn't keep growing and evolving with the pace of this business, it was going to be my fault the business failed, not the idea or the technology or anything else.
After the panic attack, Will started meditating, changed how he managed stress, and became more deliberate about being the kind of CEO Whoop needed him to be. But changing himself wasn't enough. Whoop had to become a real business, and by 2017, it was nearing bankruptcy.
There was a period in 2017, 2018 where Whoop had built, I think, a cool brand. It was used by the world's best athletes. The technology was very powerful, but we hadn't yet figured out how to make a real business out of it. We didn't have mass adoption yet, so our sales numbers still weren't where they needed to be. So our investors at this point were wondering, well, when is this going to be a real business? And that was a period of time where we almost ran out of money. I mean, we were a week away from declaring bankruptcy before we got a deal done.
Then, in May 2018, Will made the move that changed Whoop's business model completely. He killed the one-time hardware price. The Whoop strap would now be free, bundled with a monthly membership.
We realized that health monitoring was a continuous journey in people's lives. It wasn't a one-time thing. And we needed to invest in new software features and capabilities on a relentless basis. And that felt to us much more like actually a subscription or a membership than a one-time hardware sale. We care as much about keeping our existing members on Whoop as we do finding the next new members. And I think that in many ways aligns us with our member base, and it makes us very focused on, well, what do they need? What do they want? Are we giving them that every day, every week, every month? Because that's what they're paying for.
Today, Will wants Whoop to be more than just a fitness tracker.
The worlds of performance and health are really blurring. Delivering this data around sleep and recovery and exercise, health alerts, even medical capabilities is something that every human needs. Great health is performance, and high-performing people want to be healthy.
In May 2025, Whoop launched Whoop 5.0 and Whoop MG, adding features like health span with Whoop Age, heart screener with ECG, and blood pressure insights. 2 months later, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration sent Whoop a warning letter, saying the blood pressure insights feature appeared to require medical device clearance. Whoop maintains the feature is a wellness tool, but the dispute showed how the line between wellness and medicine was starting to blur.
With Whoop Age, which tells you essentially how old you are according to Whoop based on your behaviors and your physiology, and it's become the most screenshotted page in the Whoop app, the most popular feature in the Whoop app. People really want to take control of their health and they want to feel a little younger.
Will says Whoop now has about 2.7 million members across more than 200 countries, and the company says sales commitments more than doubled in 2025. Whoop's latest fundraising round, announced in March 2026, raised $575 million, bringing in investors from the Gulf, including Abu Dhabi's 2.0, Mubadala, and Qatar's QIA, as well as U.S. health names like Mayo Clinic and Abbott.
We also were able to bring in some really strategic sovereign wealth funds, which reflects all of our growth in the GCC. And we were able to bring on some great health strategics. And then, of course, the world's best athletes.
For Will, it's no longer about survival. It's about scale.
It does give us the opportunity to accelerate a lot of initiatives around research and development, new technology, as well as growing around the world.
And he says they're just getting started.
You shouldn't start a company because you think it's glamorous, but if you see a problem in the world that you're obsessed with and you can't stop thinking about, whether it's in the shower or staring out a window or before you go to bed, like this is the thing you're thinking about, then you should go for it. And I think that goes back to the lesson for any entrepreneur, which is if your mission is that much worth fighting for, you can pull yourself through incredibly painful periods of time, and you can come out the other side.
I personally risked everything to make Hyrox happen for me. I borrowed more money than I ever knew exist from family, friends, banks. For whatever reason, I went all in, literally, and I didn't have a plan B.
Moritz Forster had already reached the top of his sport. Olympic gold in Beijing, Olympic gold again in London, then bronze in Rio. But after he left field hockey, he was searching for something most athletes never get back, a second arena. The idea became Hyrox, a standardized indoor fitness race built for the millions of people who train in gyms but did not have a sport of their own.
4 hours ago, we sold the 1 millionth ticket for this year, 2026. We currently sold 1 million tickets, and with roughly another 500, 600,000 to be sold till the end of the year. And we're operating 34 countries.
The format is simple and unforgiving. 8 one-kilometer runs, each followed by one functional workout station. The same race, the same order, anywhere in the world.
If we would change the format, it would just not be Hyrox anymore.
There are 3 numbers to look out for in Hyrox's story. 650, the number of people at Hyrox's first event in Hamburg in 2017. 1.5 million, the projected Hyrox participants in the 2025-26 season. And $270 million, Hyrox's projected revenue this year. This is Founder Effect.
My name is Mo Förster, that's how everyone calls me. I'm one of the co-founders of Hyrox, and I'm operationally the CMO of the company.
Before Hyrox, Moritz Forster lived what he calls his first life, field hockey. He played for Germany across 3 Olympic Games.
Moving away from what I call my first life, which was being a professional athlete, actually is tough. And the second you finish your career, you start asking yourself, will I ever experience any kind of emotional highs or lows like that ever again? A lot of athletes describe that as kind of a hole they're falling into post their career. And I was always scared of that. And that's why you say athletes die twice, because it feels like an end to something that is, I think, very difficult to compare to anything else.
Moritz needed something that could replicate the intensity of being an athlete.
I always wanted to be able to feel that fire, that intrinsic motivation for something again that I had when I was an athlete.
The path to Hyrox was shaped in part by a public disappointment in Hamburg. Moritz had campaigned for the city's bid to host the 2024 Olympic Games. The bid failed after a public referendum, but the campaign connected him with sports event entrepreneur Christian Tetzka, who would later become his co-founder. They didn't know yet what the product would be, only what they had observed about millions of gym goers worldwide.
Hyrox is the competition within the gym world, if you want. People have been going to the gym for like ages. And we found the insight that 52% of the people that go into the gym consider fitness their sport. There was no sport of fitness, or fitness is not a sport, it's a training methodology. We wanted to create the sport that all these people were already training for.
But before any of it could scale, the founders gave themselves an operating principle they would defend for years.
We wanted the athletes to feel like Olympic athletes walking into a big arena, to feel very special, to have their names on screens and, everything from a branding perspective to the sound and light systems. We wanted that to be professional and something that has never been done and seen before. Try to be so efficient in the way we conduct and we create the product that it looks much, much more professional than it actually is. Of course, nowadays we are investing more than the 2 million per event, but hopefully it looks also like 15 million now.
The first Hyrox event in Hamburg was closer to a proof of concept than a polished global launch. It had 650 participants, and Moritz himself was doing whatever needed to be done.
I was actually emceeing that event because, of course, everybody was doing everything. What I saw was just that pure joy of those only 650 people that were trying to finish the race and that were trying out what Hyrox was. I remember that I never from that moment on really doubted that this is going to work. I was totally sold and bought into the product. Also, that lit the fire, I guess, to get up in the morning and pursue this dream of making it a big sport.
But the conviction came at a cost.
I personally risked everything to make Hyrox happen for me. I borrowed more money than I ever knew exist from family, friends, banks. I went all in, literally. I didn't have any money, I borrowed it. I was, for whatever reason, convinced that this is going to work out. And I didn't have a plan B. That's definitely not a tip that I would give to the younger generation. I was always happy to take risks, and in this particular case, yeah, it worked out.
For 2 years, Hyrox was proving its model event by event. Then COVID hit. With live events paused, Hyrox tried to keep the brand alive, even when the product itself could not operate normally.
We created ideas how to keep the brand alive. We did digital activations, competitions. We invested money during COVID, where everybody else just shut down. We did a lot for the brand that made us come back stronger post-COVID, which was really important.
And that bet paid off in 2022, when London became Hyrox's first true tipping point.
This was only possible because we did the work through COVID for 2 years, engaging with the community, writing emails, sending newsletters, trying to do online competitions, especially in the UK, hitting gyms, offering them post-COVID for 1 year to have the license for free, and so on and so forth. The post-COVID event in 2022 was the first sold-out event we ever had on a day. We just sold out an event. Our whole world is going to change. But back then, we didn't know what was about to come.
The company had survived the shutdown, and more importantly, it had spent the shutdown building the community it would need for the rebound. Hyrox has since become more than race entries. It has built a multi-layered business.
In 2026, we have 4 main revenue streams. One is ticketing, and that entitles spectator tickets and athlete tickets. Also in the tickets included are photograph solutions and some other add-ons that we consider belonging to ticketing. The next big revenue stream for us, almost 15% of our revenue, is merch. So we have our own Puma co-created merch range that we're selling at the events in the online shop. The third revenue stream is sponsorships, also between 10 and 15% from the overall revenue. And then 10% of the revenue is gym licenses. Gyms can buy a license from us and consider them an affiliated gym to offer Hyrox training at their facilities.
Hyrox is on track to deliver around $270 million in revenue in 2026 and has done it with almost no paid marketing.
The reality is that we don't do paid ads top of funnel. Hyrox is a very explanatory product that needs a lot of explanation to fully understand what it is. So if someone has never heard of Hyrox, it's completely a waste of money for me to just push a paid ad to that person on social media.
Instead, Hyrox built through people already inside the sport. Gyms, coaches, athletes, and smaller creators whose audiences believe they actually trained for the race.
For Hyrox as a sport, the most important thing is authenticity in regards to whoever is showcasing what they're doing and that they're racing in Hyrox. At the beginning, of course, we tried through partners of ours that would send us a couple of influencers, celebrities that would post for us, didn't sell a single ticket. The small gym guy with 4,000 followers, but with a gym with 2,000 members, posted something and sold 100 tickets for us.
That explains one of Hyrox's biggest strategic choices. It did not become a gym chain. It made gyms part of the distribution network.
We could open 100 gyms now worldwide, and they might be very successful, but then we would only have 100 gyms that are doing Hyrox. Now currently we have almost 16,000 gyms where you can train Hyrox. And we don't want to get into competition with our 16,000 gym partners, so why should we open gyms if we have the bigger picture in mind?
For Hyrox, the gym is not just a sales channel. It is a local sports club, the place where athletes train, talk, recruit friends, and prepare for race day. Hyrox's growth has been strongest across continental Europe, the UK, and North America, but the Middle East has quickly become one of its clearest expansion priorities.
Basically, our global expansion strategy always entitled having Hyrox events. Our dream was in the 150 urban metropolitan cities in the world. And we did a list. We went through it without having been to all of them. Abu Dhabi, Dubai, these were all cities that were part of the list. It was always clear that the Middle East are a very, very important part of our business.
In Abu Dhabi, Hyrox staged a race at one of the Emirates' major exhibition and events venues in collaboration with its sports council. More than 3,500 athletes from 124 nationalities took part. For Hyrox, it was proof that the same format that began with 650 people in Hamburg could travel into one of the world's most ambitious sports markets. But global demand creates a new problem. The race can be replicated city to city, but the experience cannot be overcrowded.
Scarcity is important. I mean, the reality is that due to the fact that tickets are very hard to get, that's what keeps people coming back and keeps people looking into opportunities to maybe even fly to another city or travel to another city. We sold 15,000 tickets in New York in 2025. We sold 55,000 tickets this year in 1 hour. We could have probably sold 80,000, but internally we are crazy, we are nuts. Why are we offering 55,000 tickets?
Mortz's next ambition is bigger than race weekends.
I am 100% convinced that hybrid racing as a sport will be included into the Olympic Games over the next decade. Hyrox as a brand will most likely not be an Olympic discipline, but it's very likely that the hybrid racing Olympic Games, if you want to qualify for that, you are qualifying through Hyrox. That's a path we're working on together with World Triathlon, with the IOC, and with all the players involved. It would be a full circle moment for me to see Hyrox ending up being at least the path towards the Olympics one day.
Hyrox is also expanding beyond the race itself. Through Hyrox experiences, the company is trying to create more moments between weekly training and race day, from fitness travel to camps, resorts, and other community-led events.
Music and sports are the only two things in the world that can bring people together regardless of their ethnicity or religion or whatever it is. And these are celebration moments that we want to create.
After 3 Olympic medals, a near collapse during COVID, and a sport now on track for $270 million, Moritz resists giving founders a formula.
I am not a fan of advices at all. I don't think there are good advices in life. My experience, and this is what I can share, if you believe in what you're doing, then you should always pursue that. And you will know if you believe in what you're doing, because if you are questioning yourself, then you're not believing in it.
That's all for this edition, but you can find more videos from Founder Effect streaming on CNBC.com and YouTube.